Hi guys, welcome to the podcast again with myself, Dalton Tessia. This is 1% Better. I'm here with Dan Briault, who I've trained with for a long time now in the gym I'm currently at and the previous gym that I've been before as well. Again, we've trained together for a fair amount in terms of like bodybuilding and some more functional CrossFit training stuff as well. So we've kind of understand each other's preferences and style of training a little bit more, but we're going to get a little bit more in depth of that. But first of all, I just want to introduce Dan. So Dan, tell us a little bit more about yourself and obviously why you come in here and what you do, what style of training you do, and a little bit more if you
Yeah,
can.
so I've been probably training for about 10 years, but seriously for the last sort of 7 years. So I think we met maybe 3 or 4 years ago, whenever
Yeah, probably
Optimus
3 years
Gym
ago.
opened.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the point where maybe a year or so before that, I started taking training a lot more seriously. And I got into sort of bodybuilding and trying to grow as much as I could alongside playing quite a lot of football, trying to lose weight because I was at the time a bit overweight. So it was kind of like a lifestyle change for me, whilst doing an office job. So trying to get that sort of fitness in and sitting around all day, I struggled with to start with, but I got a PT. Learned loads with like online coaching through someone at the gym that I was at, and just tried to widen my knowledge as much as I could getting into the gym.
But now you're
So yeah,
more
that's
into CrossFit functional stuff, aren't you now? So you spoke
yeah.
about obviously
So
bodybuilding. Talk about a little bit more about your CrossFit stuff and kind of how you're finding it at the moment.
yeah, so it all sort of started for me in the middle of lockdown. So I knew of Matt Ryan. I'd seen a lot of his stuff and the gym just opening up. And I knew that he had the sort of previous football experience as well as um, functional training, um, hypertrophy training. He was an all-rounder,
Yeah.
and I thought it really fitted into what I wanted to achieve with my fitness. Still being able to play football, overcoming what at the time was like quite a bad knees, from playing a lot of football. So I just reached out to him, said I wanted to make a change, and I've not looked back since. It's been the best sort of transition for me, and I've been able to manage my weight a lot better, not fluctuating up and down on like these bulking, cutting sort of things. It's continuous progression. I've been able to manage my food a lot better, and overall just enjoy the style of training. I haven't stopped learning, like even to this day now. Like it's been nearly 2 years now. So
Yeah, it's
um,
like a whole different ball game in terms of like
yeah,
learning like what things are. Again, come from like bodybuilding myself, and obviously you have as well. You obviously get like the rep sets and kind of form, and be quite strict with it.
yeah,
And then obviously your diet's got to be strict. And like I said, you're either cutting, you're bulking. And again, I think
mm,
I agree with you in the sense of like it's a bit more enjoyable. It's a bit more. I wouldn't say relax. Obviously, the workouts themselves are, 10 out of 10 really hard
yeah.
sometimes, aren't they? So they are a lot harder, but it's a lot more
It's a
enjoyable.
massive change because like you're used to not necessarily being so out of breath
Yeah,
when you're training in like bodybuilding style. Whereas like this, it's like 1 minute you can be doing a deadlift, and then next minute you're jumping over a bar doing burpees,
yeah.
and
No one
or
likes
you
burpees, so
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's
So
one of those things that takes ages to get used to, but um, it's so good. Like even like since um, doing some of the classes with you, like the snatching and getting into those sort of movements and loosening the body up, and like still I struggle so much, but even in like 3 weeks, it's getting into those positions and getting more mobility. the whole thing just makes a massive difference to
It's
like
cool
my
that it's
overall.
it takes some time to learn as well. I don't know if you're the same
Yeah,
for
yeah, I
process.
like that.
The Olympic lifts are extremely hard to master. And again, you go to anyone who's kind of at that point where they are really good at it, they're like, okay, it's taken months. Or I've been with a coach, and obviously the place with that is it's taken us months to just go through little stages at a time to build what we now call a
Yeah,
snatch. Um,
yeah.
so tell me a little bit more about how long did it really take you to transition into kind of from bodybuilding to CrossFit, and how did you find that transition?
It probably I started off sort of just getting the basics with like um the general sort of fitness. I found myself like doing workouts with Matt just after the lockdown finished, and I'd see him like throwing these 50-kilo medicine balls over his shoulder, running on the running machine, burpees. And I'm trying to keep up with him, and like that was a challenge in itself just to sort of get that fitness side of it up. But I'm still trying to get that transition because I'm so used to like the bodybuilding style where everything is like the cleans, for example, where you're pulling up and trying to fast move into the position of the clean.
Yeah.
And I'm used to doing an upright row, nice and slow, and it's all stiff, So
Yeah,
it's
so it
like
becomes more of like a
getting used to
muscle
like,
up rather than the
yeah,
technique
yeah, so
behind it.
getting used to those like fast movements and quickly getting into like the new positions. I'm still sort of getting used to that, but I think the basics for me probably took me like 6 months to a year. That was when I started doing the cut with at the gym,
Yeah.
and I did the photo shoot. But by that time, I had quite a pretty good base for like general sort of metcons and a few of the Olympic lifts. But it hasn't really been until like the latter part of this year where I've really started focusing on those Olympic lifts with you and Matt.
I think we've definitely gone over them a little bit more recently. I think they've been
Mm,
programmed in a little bit more. Um,
yeah,
Obviously, they do get a bit repetitive, but obviously going through the basics, it's as you probably aware, it's like totally necessary. It is just
yeah, it is.
needed in
Yeah,
terms to go through it. Because, like you said, you just muscle it up, muscle it up, muscle it up, and I get to a point where, especially in like a metcon or whatever it may be, if you have those sort of exercises in there, you get to a point where you could probably only do 3 or 4 reps where you're like, fuck, this is one killing my shoulders and super tiring. But as soon
yeah,
as you get that technique,
yeah,
and let's say you're hitting that 10 to 15 reps just quite fluently, plus
yeah.
it's good for like not injuring yourself by doing so. Just learn that technique. Like anything else,
I've not
bodybuilding,
had
like you want to do stuff properly, don't you? So yeah,
Yeah, I've not had one injury since doing this. I had 1 week where my shoulders were just on fire from doing so many like overhead movements. But apart from that, my knees have got better. I don't have like a shoulder pain from like doing heavy shoulder presses with dumbbells. Um, it's had so much more benefits than just getting like as big as I can, and like just looking aesthetically like pleasing and feeling
that
good,
is it.
like
The bodybuilding does feel kind of like heavy and just
yeah,
sluggish, doesn't it? To a point, you
yeah,
feel and look great. Don't get me wrong, but again, you put yourself into a metcon like that, and you're like, I can't move this at all.
yeah, I know.
And
And
then you
like
at the
going
stage
out for a
you're at,
run,
you're very good. You feel a lot more healthier, you feel better, and I think that's what a lot of people are start transitioning into it, the functional side of things, because it just makes them feel so much better. And then again, you still look great, mate. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people still look great when they transition, but it is
yeah,
feeling healthier, isn't it?
yeah. I feel like it's so much better looking physique when you're like physically fit as well as being strong.
Yeah.
Um, and like being able to like go out for a jog and not be absolutely dying by the time you get home because you feel so heavy.
Yeah.
Whereas like now I'm probably like near on the same weight as I was when I first started, but I look completely different and I'm able to go out for like 5-10K run and like it not bother me really.
So yeah, talk about your running. We've spoken about this a fair few times. To be fair, you started during lockdown, or like
Mm.
improving more during lockdown. Like, how has that benefited you? Again, we spoke about obviously change of equipment, like your shoes, so that helped your injury as well. But
Yeah.
everything like that, how it's improved since starting it.
Yeah. So I think I started off by doing just 5Ks in the lockdown when I was a little bit overweight, which I really struggled with because I hadn't really done much running. I'd played a bit of football, but I had like a massive gap because of the lockdown.
Yeah,
So getting back into those 5Ks was pretty tough. I was, doing like 28 minutes, which isn't too bad, but
yeah,
it felt like long and hard and like loads of breaks between not being able to like continuously keep going.
yeah.
Um, and then I would say probably like 6 months until I think it was the second lockdown over like Christmas time. Um, I bought some pretty expensive Nike running shoes
Pretty expensive, mate.
because yeah,
Jesus Christ.
but it was probably the one of the best sort of investments I've done. I think getting some proper good running shoes because of the knee pain, like tendonitis sort of thing that I had. Um, it allowed me to do longer distance runs and not feel the impact of running like fast on the 5Ks as I was improving my times. And from getting those running trainers, I think I changed my time from 23, 24 minutes to like sub 20-minute 5Ks and nearing on a 40-minute 10K.
Okay,
Um,
wow.
and that was like continuous runs almost every day, but like varying it up. So I'd do like some 400 meters, intervals of 10, a fast 5K, like a reasonably decent 10K, and like splitting it up throughout the week so that I hit all different sort of styles of
So not
runs.
super repetitive. You're not doing like, a 5K every
No,
week, you're just not keeping it the same. But another thing you said as well is like investment. You invested those shoes and it made it like a huge, huge difference in the outcome of what you're trying to do. So I think that's the
yeah,
main thing to take away as well. It's like, you invested in yourself. One, you had an injury. So again, it's looking a bit more outside the box. It isn't like, oh, can I push through this or should I rest? It's like, how can I adapt
yeah,
but still move forward in that same process? Because again, one, you weren't like completely taken out of the sport or what you're trying to do. It was just, sometimes it was bothering you. It's a little bit more pain
yeah.
than it should have been. So again, you invested in it and it's improved. And I don't know, are you still getting that pain, or are you kind of?
I very rarely like I'll sometimes feel it if I go in too quick for a run. I haven't like warmed up properly, or if I don't warm up properly for a squat. Like I have to warm up properly, but I don't really get it at all anymore. Like I sometimes even do. I've got a habit of like like playing with my knees, like rubbing them,
Yeah,
as because I've had it for so long. But no, it's completely gone pretty much,
yeah, it's
which
good.
is really really good. So a lot of it's down to the exercises that I've been doing and laying off the sort of sprinting from football. But I think that the main thing for me has been in this last sort of year is backing away from football so much and really focusing on strengthening my legs because it's something that I've always sort of shied away from because of the knee
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched base on that in a couple of sessions in terms of, again, one being your squat. I think that was a main thing, wasn't it? In terms
Yeah,
of, again, just overall like your depth, but again, where your knee traveled, it just obviously made a huge difference. I don't know if you want to touch base on that and like what difference you
yeah,
actually saw in terms of like just the advice you got from that.
yeah. So um, I think I saw you on like soon after I'd stopped playing football. I done one of the classes and we really sort of like tapped into my form because I was really struggling with the depth because of the pain.
Yeah.
But once the pain sort of started going away, it was more all in my head. So it
Yeah.
was sort of getting rid of that like fear of it hurting, going slightly heavier and getting into the deeper squats. But once we sort of like nailed that form, keeping driving the knees out, making sure that I'm in the right position, setting myself up properly, warming up, all of those sort of things have like been a massive help for the last sort of like probably 3 or 4 months. I think we've proper solidly been
Yeah,
working
I'd
on
say
it.
so. Yeah. I don't think I've really spoken to you since about it. So again, it's not like
No,
you've really complained about it at all, to be fair. So
no,
it's obviously helped in terms of, like you said, set up and like the cues, and obviously just following that same kind of pathway to hopefully again not put your knee in a bad place or anything else, to be fair. So it's obviously helped
yeah, yeah. It's
massively
been able
overall.
like having that form that you've taught me is like helped me feel more comfortable loading more weight.
Yeah,
Um, Taking that time to feel like I'm in control of it,
good.
and like not letting those knees sort of drive inwards as I'm pushing up. Um, yeah, and it's I think I was only squatting like 100 kg like for one rep, like if I was lucky,
Yeah.
and like to me that's pretty bad for someone that's been training for like 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah, but
you
I guess
should have little
injury is
good legs
just,
by then. But
yeah, it's going to say it's holding you back a little bit. I think the main thing for
yeah,
you, if I recall properly, is just, I think it was mainly when you were going down regardless anyway, that your knees were just kind of caving in, which then
mm,
caused you pain anyway. So it wasn't like it was something that, again, knee travel in, it's not the worst thing in the world. But again, how I like to teach it is obviously with yourself and like other people, is having your knees kind of follow wherever your foot direction is going, allowing yourself to see that kind of big toe. But again, it's kind of straight over your foot, and not caving in and out. It's kind of stable. It's stacked over your ankle, and hopefully keeps it a little bit more healthier because it is in a more stacked position. Therefore,
yeah,
as well, it's going to allow you to travel properly, travel forward and through with your knees to allow obviously your hips go the distance you need to and get the depth, and obviously keep your lower back out of place.
mm,
Again, your any neck or head strain, because obviously you have to compensate with your hips rising up and stuff like
yeah,
that. So
definitely.
did you find that as a difference as well? When your knees went out, like other things just became a little bit easier just to control that weight,
Yeah,
like you
like
said.
yeah, my hip used to hurt a little bit as well, and um, I found myself sort of like leaning more towards the stronger side,
Yeah,
um, and that put me out of place. And I know a lot of other people have found that with like their hips, and it all
yeah,
it starts from the feet all the way up to your hips.
yeah. It's mad how like one little injury just kind of causes like a knock-on effect that you don't realize are kind of
Mm,
linked together, isn't it? So
yeah,
mate, that's cool. That's really cool to hear that. Obviously, it's helped a lot. Let's talk about we talked about the style of training, how we changed that uh, bodybuilding into CrossFit. Let's talk about a little bit like your nutrition, how that's changed, because we spoke about obviously bulking and cutting, and how
mm,
again bodybuilders are quite vigorous of their meals. You probably see it all the time, like got to have X amount of meals, 5-6 meals, got to have chicken, rice, and broccoli, stereotypical.
yeah.
Got to have your shakes, got to have your BCAAs, got to have your creatine, whatever else it may be. Like, have you come away from that, and if so, like how have you changed it? Is it become
Mm.
like more enjoyable and just more easy and more relaxed? Or what do you
Yeah,
think?
definitely. I think for me, I was very sort of like strict and boring, and I think that's how, for me, I fell off the wagon a lot, and I think that's the same for quite a lot of people. Like, I talk to a lot of friends that are,
Yeah,
either under eating or eating so strictly that by the weekend they'll have a massive pizza, or they go out on the piss and drink
yeah,
loads of alcohol and undo all of what they've done in the week. There's loads of things, but I think for me, I eating like chicken and rice. I didn't used to eat very well. I used to have a really bad like eating, not disorder, but um, I was so fussy,
okay,
and it wasn't until like maybe like 5 years ago, sort of trying new foods. As you get older, you like different things, but
yeah,
I just used to eat chicken and rice and like like smash protein shakes.
Yeah,
I thought supplements was the only way forward.
like kind of bro science
Uh,
thought process about it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it like I just all the time like I'd be solid for like 2 months and then fall off the wagon for 2 months and put loads of weight back on.
yeah,
But I think in the last sort of 2 years, I'd say I've been a lot less strict with what I eat. I still have been consistent with calories, but I think even in the last sort of this year, I haven't tracked at all,
amazing.
and
Yeah, that's cool.
um, you know, I know roughly what I need to eat from the experience that I've had. I know that how many sort of shakes, if I want to up it with a shake on my protein, then I'll have like 1 or 2 a day. But I know like how many like how many chicken breasts or
Like you can
whatever
eyeball
I
it,
know I
which is
need
kind of
to.
good, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you get to a point
yeah,
where, like you're saying, it becomes a bit of a disorder in terms of you're kind of continuously having the same things. If you're not hitting the mark, you're like shit, I need to hit the mark. And
yeah,
again, especially with like tracking stuff like MyFitnessPal, really really good tool, really good for like accountability, seeing what you are eating or not eating, to then try to hit that marker. But it gets to a point where I think you've done quite well as well, in terms of just transitioning to, you kind of have a good understanding of, like you said, what that probably contains. You can look at the label, I can eyeball that. Again, you're looking at calories. Again, how full you're becoming.
yeah,
Another thing as well, I think you're, if I'm correct, on Move Food, which is obviously a food company, isn't it? So
yeah,
you obviously use
yeah. I
that as
used
well.
them a lot. Yeah, they were really good. They helped through my weight loss sort of journey where for the photo shoot I had 2 a day, so I knew exactly what I was going to intake for the week. Kept me, you know, not strict, but um, able to plan my week. So I knew what I was going to have for lunch and dinner.
Yeah,
I can plan my breakfasts, and then have some nice snacks in between that, and not feel like I can't treat myself. Like I'll have, if I want to have a pastry, I'll have like a croissant or whatever,
yeah,
and not feel guilty for it. And if I know that I'm gonna be going out at the weekend, or going out for a big family dinner or anything like that, where I know that it's gonna consume more calories or have an impact on what my goal is or
yeah,
whatever, I know that I can either, if I either need to train a little bit harder or go for a longer run the day before, and make up for it the next day or anything like that, which is what I never used to really do or understand. Like, okay, if I'm going out for dinner, I'll probably consume an extra 1,000 calories. So I know that I can cut that back through the week.
Do you think
You know,
understanding, like, again, a perfect example, you know when to cut back and adjust things within throughout the week and planning stuff as well, which is really important.
mm.
Do you think that's obviously made it, I won't say more enjoyable, but it's made it an easier process to keep up your fitness, but again, your lifestyle at the same time?
Yeah, 100%. Because if you still want to be able to go out, you still want to be able to eat the things that you enjoy. Like if like for me, I absolutely love coffee and pastries. So like,
It's all over your
I've got a
Instagram, just every story. Yeah,
small addiction, but
yeah,
that's what I enjoy, and that makes me happy. So if that means that I have to do an extra 10 minutes on a run, or 15 minutes in the gym, whatever it is,
yeah,
it's worth it,
yeah,
because it means I can eat what I want.
yeah,
And I think that's like a healthy balance. What I would definitely like recommend to people is like, eat what you enjoy, but just
yeah,
work
mate.
harder.
Yeah, yeah, it does come to that at some point as well. What else was I going to think about? Yeah, so obviously nutrition for bodybuilding is quite strict in terms of what they're saying, and also social life
Mm.
and lifestyle and everything like that. So it's obviously made it easier for you in terms of changing that and understanding it as well. But would you say it's made a huge difference and give a bit more insightful of how you were and it's how it impacted your life in
Mm.
terms of, because you look at bodybuilders and they say it all the time. It's like, I have no social life because I am constantly training, sleeping, recovering. I'm jotting down what I'm doing, what I'm planning, making meals, eating meals. I have no time for social life. Do you find that was kind of, even though you probably did go out a little bit more, do you find that was a bit more
Mm.
accurate to the
Yeah,
description?
100%. I would go out for like a meal with the family, and like I'd have like a steak, but I wouldn't have the chips.
Crikey, yeah.
And like it was like that, I was that bad at one point. Like you get sort of a bit obsessed with it when you're sort of regimenting yourself to such a fixed amount of calories,
Yeah.
and it's not healthy when you
Yeah.
get kind of that obsessed about food. Um, and you see a lot of it now, a lot on social media, don't you? With like people um, trying to get people out of those sort of like unhealthy diets of like these fad diets and
Well, yeah, it's I think same for you. I don't think, did you ever do a competition or anything like that, bodybuilding wise?
no,
Do you think it would
I
have
thought
been
about
beneficial?
it,
I was gonna
but
say, do you reckon it'd be beneficial if you did like the whole process? Because it is quite strenuous and quite strict. Like,
mm,
if you're not doing a uh, competition like that, is it even worth being that strict on yourself?
and that's you're very right. To be fair, like I was that strict on myself and never really had that goal in mind.
Yeah,
I was always chasing nothing, if you like
yeah.
there wasn't really anything in mind. Just wanted to feel and look better, um,
Do you think you achieved
which
that
is
at all?
not training in that sort of way. No, it wasn't
Okay.
until I sort of done this sort of transition, and Matt asked if I'd fancied doing his um, RF6,
Yeah,
and I thought, yeah, do you know what? Why not? Like, there's a photo shoot at the end of it. I can try and achieve something that I've never achieved before.
yeah,
There's a goal in mind. I can get in the best condition of my life, hopefully, and just see where it goes. And like actually having something to work to was really good. But I don't think I'd ever do that again.
yeah.
It was really hard, like getting that lean, and like your mood is
Mate, it takes a toll on yourself.
is really bad. Yeah, and like if it's being on a deficit for like over 3 months, I think it was, is like it's so hard. And like again, it's not worth it. Like if you're not gonna earn a lot of money out of it, like a pro bodybuilder would, or even pro CrossFitters or whatever, don't get that lean.
No, yeah.
Um, they're just big, fit guys or girls, and
Can't forget the
it's
girls.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's worth it.
No, yeah, I agree.
Have you ever thought about doing it, like a competition or
Yeah, at
anything
one
like that?
point, again, at the start of my lifting career, obviously I was in quite good shape, and I was like, oh, I really follow bodybuilding. I still do now. I follow it and really enjoy it.
Mm.
Um, but again, it comes to like your mental state at the same time at the end of it, and I can't imagine going back there and then maintaining like a low. Like I want to get like like a bit more lean and whatnot, but to the extent
Yeah,
where you're like near competition or like a couple weeks out at least, it's just like a bit unhealthy, I suppose, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, yeah. Have
And
you sort of found changing from the sort of
yeah, because
bodybuilding
I've
style
done
to
it for myself as
teaching more?
well. Obviously the teaching side of things are, I don't know, a bit more free flowing. It's like just like what a functional class is. It's a bit more free flowing. It's not as strict. It's not more like, okay, one exercise. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah,
Or one set, two set. It's quite more enjoyable to teach as well. Especially the like community side of things, and then the people go there. They're just a bit more bubbly
yeah,
rather
it's
than
really
like
good.
regiment. So, but myself, like trainer wise, obviously I'm fairly new to it as well, and I've, mate, I do still find it like really really hard. Because again, I used to play rugby, used to play football. That stopped that when I came out of college, and then literally just worked and just trained like a kind of bodybuilder. Not like I wasn't that strict. I was quite in and out of it in terms of like nutrition and stuff. So I
Yeah.
was pretty laid back with it. I wasn't that rigid. But yeah, coming doing this again, I think it's the same thing for you. Like, fucking hell, I can't do this. And why can't I do this? It feels so unhealthy that I can't move. Just doing
Yeah,
X
but you
amount of
do
things.
make it look a lot easier than I make it look. I make it look hard.
Yeah, but I'm slowly dying. But yeah, I've started running a little bit more just because I'm like, I couldn't even do a K at the start of the year. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, why can't I do that? Like, it's so bad. I get out of breath so quickly. I'm just like, that
How
is
are you
so
getting
bad.
on with it?
Oh, mate, I love it. I'm finding it a lot better. Running, I did a run today. Did like 2K just continuous, and that was like quite
Yeah.
quick speed for me. And I think I did a 0.5 faster than I did 2 days ago, and like more in the same speed.
It's
So it's
crazy
like,
how fast you can progress with running, and it's all in your mind. Like I find it like
oh mate,
mental clarity after having a run is like way more than um, having an hour's gym session.
mate, for sure. I was doing like the last stretch where it's finishing off the thing. That's probably where, like I said, the last stretch is probably where I finished last time. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to do the end of this road where like I know I need to finish instead of walk it. And
Yeah,
it was just like a mental battle. I was just like, man, I'm finishing this. There's no way I'm stopping. I stopped here last time. I'm going and going. You just like, and then you get to the end, you're like, fuck me, I can't believe I just did that. Like, man,
yeah.
I'm dying a little bit more, but I'm like so happy that I just went a little bit further, a little bit faster, that sort of
It's
thing.
so good when you're competitive as well because you
Yeah.
can be competitive with yourself. You
Yeah.
beat that time every time you go out.
I think it's
And
the same thing for the CrossFit, isn't it? You're just, or functional training, with the metcons and capacity, it
yeah,
isn't like, yeah, you're with everyone else and you're competing with them at the same time. And sometimes in terms of speed or how quick you can do it or how much you can lift for that certain movement. But it's almost like, shit, I want to get like a fast time. I want to get a good score.
yeah, it's really
want to just
healthy
bounce it
competition.
out. Yeah. It is with other people, but it's like just yourself as well. It's like,
Yeah,
I want to feel fitter and redo this in like a month's time and just bounce this out really.
yeah. I think
Um,
those classes are so good if you're like either you struggle going on your own or
yeah.
you just want that sort of like that little extra push with someone next to you that like maybe um, be a little bit fitter than you or um, or not, like you
Yeah.
might be pushing them and but seeing them doing like trying super hard even though they're not that fit, like it's super
So cool, isn't it?
motivating
Yeah.
even if you're like really fit, like the vibe of it all when you leave, like you feel a million times better than when you started, and like your heart rate might have been at like nearly 200 but like you still feel great afterwards.
Yeah. You
Like
just keep going.
it's really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think yesterday's class was a prime example of that. I did uh, Wednesday, so two. It was. I see if I can get up. What that? Do you remember? Did you do it yesterday at all? The workout or anything like
No,
that? Okay,
I'm a day
so
behind on my stuff, so
cool. So the Metcon was. I'll just read it out. So it's 5 rounds, 3 minutes work, 1 minute rest. It was 3 barbell cleans at 80% of 1 rep max, 10 V sit-ups, 10 prisoner squats, and then the remainder time within that 3 minute window is getting as many meters as you can on some cardio equipment. It was paired with that's part A. Part B was 16-minute EMOM, 12 box jumps, 12 toe bars, 10 pull-ups, 12 burpees. So the
tough.
EMOM finished 4 minutes before the rounds did, because the rounds was 20 minutes, the other one 16. So it was really what I kind of basically done. Obviously, the EMOM finished to have like a minute rest, which the round was then start their cleans and whatnot to then go into the meters. They had a bit of recovery, and I was like, all right, cool. They're getting on meters. We are going to cheerlead and the whole way through for the last round.
That's
Last
sick.
round is literally like finishing it off. And I think for both those sessions, again, there's like obviously 4 groups that literally swap round cheerleading. And it was just like
Yeah, that's
insane.
good.
I think it was Stuart and Ben get X amount of meters for the same thing, and they both beat their first round score in meters just because they've been pushed and just absolutely
Yeah,
hauling
yeah,
ass. But that's the thing; they
yeah. I love
literally
that.
went back, fell on the floor, and like fucking hell, and everyone's like, oh.
Yeah,
The thing is with community afterwards, it's like thanks for pushing me, like thanks for like chilling
Mm.
me, like that was insane. And it's not like
That's what
I would
makes
never
me
want to do that. You at the time you're like, I never want to do that again, but you're like, I'm coming back because I want that same feeling.
yeah, that's what makes
Insane.
me want to keep going as well. Like that's that feeling, especially when you're with like either a mate or
Mm.
someone that you know and you're training together and you're really pushing each other. And that's what makes me look forward to the high rocks, like doing that with
Yeah, yeah,
um Ollie, Matt, and Joe. Um, it's going to be the same vibe, you know. We're going to be cheering each other on the whole way through it, and obviously the atmosphere will probably be reasonably decent. I don't know
yeah,
if like lots of people go and watch or anything like that, but I know just between the four of us, it'll be like pretty mental because you know what those guys are like.
yeah.
They're
Absolutely
pretty
sending
motivated
it,
guys.
mate.
It's going
Yeah,
to be like I'll probably find that I'll go way too hard at the beginning or whatever, but with the
mate.
adrenaline, but
You
it'll probably
got to go for it.
get me through it faster. So
When is that, by the
that'll be
way?
really
The
good.
High Rocks.
That is on the 30th of April.
Okay.
So just over a month to go. We've been sort of dabbling in practice, but I mean, for me, it's just sort of keeping the runs up so that my running time is at a competitive speed.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think most of us, because it's a relay, so
Explain the whole
we're all
workout
in our
if you remember
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Explain it all.
So I I'm starting, so I'll be on. You have to buy into each exercise with a 1 kilometer run,
Okay.
and you have to do that as a pair, I believe. Um, so I will be starting probably with Ollie um, on a 1 kilometer run,
Yeah.
and then straight into the first exercise, which is 1,000 meter ski. So I think last year's winners done 1,000 meter ski in about 3 minutes 45,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty confident that I can beat that,
Mate,
or at
seeing you
least
pull
match it.
on the rower, for instance, yeah, I can't imagine you'll be any slower than that speed.
Yeah, I've been practicing plenty on the ski machine. It's just whether you can do that under fatigue. So that's like,
Yeah.
you know, and bearing in mind like a lot of the guys that would done it last year, I think they had to hit a sub 4 minute 1 kilometer. So it's pretty
Okay.
tough.
Wow.
But then again, I think you only do two 1Ks, maybe. I'm not sure. I need to look into it a bit more. We haven't really prepped too much into it, but it might be that we
Yeah.
have to do a little bit more running than we think. But
I
I think
thought it
it's
was
two
2K a
exercises
piece.
each.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
not
thought it was two
sure.
exercises, 2K, and then it obviously passed it on or something like that. I
Yeah,
thought it was.
yeah. I think all you have to do is buy into your exercise. So
Okay.
I'm doing the ski and 80-meter burpee broad jumps, which I'm absolutely dreading.
Did you actually buy into that, or you got given it as a last resort? Because
I got given that. I don't know
well,
how I managed to get
you
given
got the
that,
short
but
straw, mate. I feel absolutely sorry
yeah.
for you.
But I think I'd rather that over the lunges. I'm glad Joe's doing that because he's got pretty pretty strong legs. So I think he'll be really good at that. I think we've done really well with like who's doing what.
So
Um,
what has Matt and Ollie got then? If you recall.
I think well, Ollie's definitely doing the rowing machine because
Yeah.
he's an absolute
Yeah.
animal on the rower.
He never said that when
Um,
he first came into the session, and I
I
was
know.
like, he's like, I'll jump in a
He like
rower, and then absolutely rips it, and he goes, oh yeah, I did this in the army or something. I was like,
yeah.
mate, you should be in the
I think he did
fucking
100 calories on the rowing machine in like a minute and a half or something ridiculous. Like
absolute center. Like, yeah, mental,
yeah,
mental. And he just got up like,
um,
yeah, Jesus, yeah, that was hard.
made it look
Everyone's
easy.
everyone's doing like 5-6 minutes, like
Yeah,
whatever it may be, but they're absolutely dying, and he just rips it and gets off. And it's like, are you missing something? It's like, no, finish it. It's
yeah.
like,
Like
what?
definitely, you've definitely done that before.
Yeah, yeah, something he wasn't telling us. So I try to get him on something different every single time. I'm like, Ollie, you're not getting on
Mm.
the rower because that is obviously far too
You're
easy
too
for yourself.
comfortable on it.
Yeah, let's get you on a assault bike or something real challenging.
Yeah,
But yeah, mate, that's cool. Are you looking forward to the high
Yeah,
rocks then?
really looking forward to it. It's the first sort of like competition um, that I've ever done, other than like like pet football, like
Yeah,
competitive football. But it'll be really cool, and like I love sort of like team stuff.
yeah,
It'd be cool to do something on my own maybe in the future.
yeah,
But it'll be really cool to do it as a team.
yeah, mate, it's sick. It's sick. Have you obviously, do you follow CrossFit at all or anything like that? I know you're into it, but
Yeah. I think since getting involved in it, I've sort of watched some of the CrossFit games and
yeah,
um, competitions, and sort of seeing what some of the guys lift and
yeah,
how intense those sort of workouts are that they do, and like, it's crazy. Like, guys are absolute machines.
yeah. Obviously, you followed the open and whatnot, but did you see? I don't know if it was the fastest time, but when I got told it was, I was pretty gobsmacked to be fair. But it was the 22.3 open workout, and I try to find the person's name, but he done it within 4 minutes 29, I believe. I don't know if you saw any of the workouts or understand like the speed of it, but this guy absolutely hauled ass.
What one was that? Was that to do with?
That
Was
was
that a
the
deadlift
pull
sort of one?
ups, pull up to the obviously chin, pull ups to chest, and then the third one was like the muscle ups in 3 stages, and then it was like the thrusters, which went up in
Oh
weight,
yeah, yeah.
and then it was the double unders as well. So it was like pull up, double unders, thrusters, chest to bar, double unders, weight up and thrusters, and then it was then it was the
That's
full way up.
disgusting.
Yeah, and I'm
That's a
not even
lot of
joking.
pull.
That was like a 15 or 12 minute time cap, and then he absolutely hauled ass, got it in. Yeah, 4 minutes 29. I'm trying to get his name because he needs to be mentioned for sure.
That's a crazy time.
Yeah, I started following them recently, so hopefully it's not too far
Mm.
back.
Those guys just are like on another level, aren't they? Being able to lift like such heavy weight, but being able to like keep that heart rate high, just keep churning through the exercises. Like, you rarely see them like actually
Yeah,
stopping and taking a
hey, I've
breather.
sent you the video on Instagram. Have a quick look at it. You can kind of
I don't
just
know if
click
that
on
will
it. And
take me off this.
oh, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. So you'll see it afterwards.
I'll look at that later,
Um,
but
it is you'll be just absolutely gobsmacked. He probably I don't think he doesn't take any break. He gets a little bit tired at the last thrusters, but for 4 minutes 29, you look at the workout and you're absolutely mind
that's the
blown, mate.
hard bit, I think, because that's like you can be strong and you can be fit, but it's doing both together,
Yeah, which is cool, isn't it?
and like having that mental capacity to like just keep churning through.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. That's what like you've got to almost train yourself to do as well.
Which one do you think your weakness is? The cardio or the strength side of things?
Um, I think the strength, like some of the stuff, like I think upper body, I'm okay with, but
Yeah.
it's like um like thrusters, for example. Like, I struggle with those.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
I struggled a lot more with the knees, but as they progressed and I've got a lot stronger with my legs, that's helped a lot. But yeah, I think it's combining the two um, has been like a slow progression.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes some time, doesn't it, to actually get used to it, and your body's like, fuck, I'm just gonna have to deal with it and just move on now, don't
Yeah,
I? So
yeah, you do. Like, if you like, I always really try and stick to the RX just to like push myself through it,
yeah,
and like doing those 22 kg dumbbell thrusters, like, oh, they
cleans and whatnot.
absolutely
Yeah,
kill. But I'm glad I've done it because I've got used to it almost.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't think you ever get used to it.
No, yeah,
It's
because you
still
always push
horrible.
yourself faster and faster. That is the thing of it as well. It's not like you have RX and you can keep that the whole time. It doesn't really matter. But then again, like the so depending on what the workout is, you can have 5 rounds for time and you're just absolutely hauling
Mm.
ass even faster than you did before. So it's like you're always progressing and you're not really relaxing at any point. It's not like, okay, I can do 22s for this, but it's like, cool, I have to do it like as fast as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
I think
crazy.
I've done pretty well to sort of get to the point where I'm pretty comfortable doing the RXs and still getting like really like good times. But yeah, it's still something that I keep trying to progress in getting that sort of combination of being able to do some of those exercises with a higher weight and keep that tempo going.
Yeah, I think again for myself, it was kind of finding the right rhythm without before. Like initially when you first do it, like cool 22s, like I can bench that all day long and shoulder press it, whatever it may be. But then you get into work and it's like, thrusters and cleans and whatever it may be. And you're like, okay, fucking hell. Like the first round, you're absolutely obliterated because you're like absolutely spamming
Yeah,
it. I think
yeah,
I think I did that other workout and I was just like, cool, I'm actually going to take my time, break up the reps because I know I can recover way
yeah.
better. Just take my time a little bit more. And like it went so much smoother. Yes, I was tired, but I wasn't like tired, like, a quarter way through for it. I was like consistently just hauling ass the appropriate amount of what I could do
Yeah.
rather than just absolutely sending it, which is I think we've all done and
That's the
it's like,
massive mistake you can make, isn't it? Like going
yeah,
ham at the beginning and then you're like, oh shit,
yeah,
I'm absolutely spent and I've still got like 5 more rounds to go.
yeah.
And
That is another
like
thing.
you
It's a
really have
marathon,
to
isn't it?
learn to, yeah, it is. You have to like learn to look at the workout and plan how you're going to attack it, and
Yeah,
getting that sort of plan right
yeah,
is like detrimental to how you succeed through
mate, for
each
sure.
workout.
Do you think uh in terms of obviously bodybuilding, CrossFit, you look at the training log of like bodybuilding and you know what you're doing pretty
Mm,
much day in, day out for
yeah,
however long it's going to be. Do you know what I mean? Like the next 2 years, you'll probably be doing the same thing, or
yeah,
thereabouts. Do you like the concept of the functional training where, especially with what we do at the Fit Hub, that is just pretty spontaneous majority of the time?
yeah. I think it's a great way to train because, like even if you're like, for example, you've got a plan and you follow it pretty religiously, even still, that plan is pretty different each week.
Yeah,
Or like one week you're like you're lowering the amount of reps and upping the amount of sets.
yeah,
It's all still like very different. But then like, if you're not feeling that, you can pretty much go in there and make up your own metcon and still get like a really, really good workout in.
oh for sure. You
And
can literally base it on what
just
you
grab,
like, can't you?
yeah, you can just grab a set of dumbbells, grab a kettlebell, a box, and
Yeah,
just make it up as you go along, like right on the board what you want to do for like what an AMRAP for like 20 minutes or whatever. And I guarantee like every single time you've burnt a shitload of calories, you're
yeah.
sweating and you've got a pump on.
I think the good thing about it as well is like we just kind of spoke about in terms of like the cardio side of things and the strength side of things as well. So if you were to do it yourself and you go, if I'm obviously for longevity things, I'm just endurance wise absolutely shocking at this, and I can literally base it around lifting a bit more weights for like an EMOM, whatever it may be, or rounds. But I know that
Mm,
I'm going to enjoy that a little bit more because I
yeah,
can adjust it. But at the same time, when you go into like the Fit Hub, for instance, again, we spoke about burpees, how everyone hates them, let's be honest, but they can
yeah,
be on there or like burpees over bar and you're just like, cool, like just gonna fucking do it. Like it's it.
yeah, yeah. Once you start getting used to the feeling of doing burpees, um, you can sort of put them into any workout. Like you can do a
Yeah.
bench press, heavy bench press, and then just do 10 burpees, then do it
Hey,
again.
yeah.
And like uh, you can literally get the best of both worlds out of it, and you get physically fitter and you're stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, mate, it's
I
cool.
found that bodybuilding was like too repetitive.
Yeah.
I always sort of, if I had a coach, I'd always be like, oh, can we change the plan, or
Yeah.
what can I do today? Like
Did you
you
find
you
it
can get,
you find it different? Did you train like by yourself majority of the time?
Um, yes and no.
Yeah.
I had like I did go through phases of having like different training partners.
Okay.
I used to train with Levi quite
Yeah.
a bit when I joined
Levi's
Optimus.
transitions as well, isn't he? Levi's
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
joined us
Yeah, and
guys.
he's loving it.
Yeah, mate, he's absolutely
Um,
smashing it.
I think we trained a few times
Yeah.
at Optimus when you used to work there. And before that, I went to a gym called AJ's, and I used to go with a guy from work. And then like weirdly decided to not do bodybuilding for like 6 months and done like calisthenics
Yeah,
with
maybe.
some with a Bulgarian dude that was at the gym. I like saw him doing like these muscle ups and like flags and all this like crazy shit, and thought I want to learn how to do that.
So
And
why the change
just
there as well then?
I just thought it was cool. Like thought I want to learn how to do muscle up.
Yeah.
I want to be able to like smash it with my own body weight and be able to like do cool stuff as well as like be strong. And he was like crazy strict. Like the Bulgarians are another level of like strictness. Like my hands would be bleeding from muscle ups, and he'd be like, keep going, keep going. And like, but by the end of it, like I was doing loads of muscle ups and finding it like super easy,
Yeah.
which was really cool.
Do you still do them now? Do you find them easy now?
Yeah, it's technique. Like
Yeah.
I can't do as many. I'm a lot heavier,
Yeah.
but I can do them no problem.
Yeah. You should try that 22.3 open workout then.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know about ring. It's probably on the ring though, isn't it?
No, just a bar. Yeah, just a
Oh,
bar.
that's okay. I might have to give that a go then.
Yeah, mate. Watch
That's
that
one thing I have
video.
to be on the master
Yeah,
is the
watch that
rings.
video, and it's just
Mm.
it's crazy.
I'll maybe give it a go at the weekend.
Yeah. So obviously, I like training people quite strict pull-ups. It's just obviously the form of it, everything like that. And when you get a
Mm.
bit more into like functional training, you're looking at more like like the technique of how can you improve and make it a bit more efficient. Obviously, not trying to injure yourself at the same time. So obviously, you see those kind of like butterfly pull-ups and stuff. Like, have you found that like easy to do? Do you prefer them, or do you kind of
I
still
can't do
keep it
them yet.
strict?
I've not really tried it either, to be honest with you. I still like if they're programmed in
Mate, we'll
for
go
like
through
pull
it,
up.
mate. It is. I
I
tell you this, it's pile of piss. I went through with Ben. I think it was yesterday with Toaster Bar, and like how you can just kind of like flow through it, and it's just this
Yeah,
one little thing. You start with this, you do that, and then you flow with it, and it's like, and
yeah.
he literally did it. And he's like, mate, that was so easy. Now I'm literally just rocking them out, and then he was like, mate, it's taking me
Yeah,
ages to do that. And it's the same for like pull-ups,
I'll
mate.
have to
It's
give it a go. It's because it's probably very similar to like learning the muscle up weight. It's all in the technique, and once
quite
you've got the
literally,
technique, you just keep going through it.
mate.
But
It's
I've
literally
like
that.
you say, I've always been like really strict on pull-ups, and where I
Yeah,
was doing loads of the calisthenic stuff, like he was like all about keeping your body like nice and straight and
yeah,
your core engaged, like not with your knees bent back, and your
yeah,
legs crossed. It was all like very like elegant, if you like, especially with the muscle ups, but always it was like body nice and straight,
yeah.
back straight, like strict form. So I do try and keep that as much as I can. But then when you're in a Metcon and you get loads of pull-ups and you do start swinging,
But yeah, it just get difficult, doesn't it? But again, you learn
yeah,
quite a bit, to be fair. And obviously, you've taken some pros and cons out of anything and everything you've done, the bodybuilding and calisthenics as well. So, do you think that's benefited you
yeah,
and kind of what you're doing now?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because when you sort of think being able to do your body weight is quite essential to like CrossFit style stuff because a lot of it
Yeah,
is body weight. Um, burpees and squats and stuff like that. A lot of it is being able to like manage your own weight and add to it. I think all like bodybuilding, calisthenics, and then into CrossFit has like helped me have that like fundamental like basic strength,
yeah, mate, it's cool.
and
It's
then
cool.
and then build to it.
Um, Let's talk about. I think we spoke about this before, like before recording. A little bit about like illnesses and stuff. Recently, you obviously have
Mm,
had a cold and stuff. How have you found it in terms of getting back into training in the style that you're doing now? Have you found it like
mm,
you can take it a little bit more easier and you take a
yeah,
step back in terms
I
of
used to I used to be really bad at like overtraining and stuff and making myself ill because I never knew when to take a break.
yeah,
I would, like train every day, but like twice a day, or like playing football and gymming and making myself ill. But like I I learned to sort of make sure that I have those sort of rests and
yeah,
like at least sort of like 2 rest days a week. But yeah, the last 2 weeks I've had pretty bad cold. Um, and sort of knowing when to not go and listening to your body is like
hugely
it
important.
is it is, yeah, because like I thought I felt better and I went ham on Saturday with like trying to catch up on workouts that I'd missed in the week, and on Sunday I felt 10 times worse, whereas I probably should have just slowly, almost, like when you have a week off or you
Yeah,
go on holiday, you don't train and you go back in, you feel like you carry on as you did when you start, and then you
yeah,
ache like mad.
yeah,
It's kind of a bit like that. You sort of go in too hard and then find yourself like worse the next day. So I think like probably the same. I've been lucky not to get COVID, but um, I think people that have had COVID have like really struggled to like get back into their training with like, I think it has a massive effect on your lungs from what people have said.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
like if you're into this sort of style of training, that can really sort of affect your progress. But I think
yeah.
it, if you have the rest and let yourself sort of get better and slowly get back into it, that probably will stop you losing that progress. Just take it a bit easier.
Yeah, it can be hugely beneficial. Rest and recovery. Um, yeah, sometimes it is needed, and even if you did have like holidays off, like say Christmas and whatnot, you had a week or so off, like you're not really losing anything, and sometimes it can be beneficial. Like I remember when I was training really heavy for like more strength training purposes, and it would come to like certain lifts where I took a week or two off. I'm like, cool, I'm back into training this week, whatever, and I literally just take a lift. I'm like, I just not hit a new PB or whatever it was, but it was like for way stronger. I did a little bit more reps and whatever it may be, and I was like, oh yeah, recovery is like hugely important. Like you
Yeah.
notice it, and even when you don't feel like it, like you need recovery is probably when you need to focus on it most. I
Mm.
think.
Yeah, I find a lot of the time like I'll have a rest day and then like that night I'll have an amazing sleep, and then the day after I feel like really lethargic in the morning,
Yeah,
and then by the time that evening comes, I'll do a workout and it's like one of the best workouts like I've had.
yeah,
And like that sort of recovery sets you up so much for like doing, especially when you're doing like this sort of thing where you're trying to increase the weight all the time. And but going back to sort of like training, is the benefits of this CrossFit. I think doing less is more.
yeah,
Like I think when you train like a bodybuilder and you do the sort of like chest day, back day, leg day, and you're like your muscles are so exhausted, like I've found that I've got way stronger by doing less, like
yeah,
less bench pressing, less shoulder pressing, and less squatting, but making sure I hit the right sort of exercises.
yeah.
I found that I've got way stronger.
Mate, that's cool. That's good. Yeah, yeah. You're probably fine just taking a bit of time off and not pushing
Mm,
yourself to the limits. So yeah, sometimes it's again, it's the difference between like bodybuilding and strength and everything like that. So it's like, what is your purpose and is it like the right thing? And if you're
mm.
not like competition trying to bodybuild and you're trying to gain strength, then like you've got to look at it on the outside perspective, I can pronounce those words,
Yeah.
of how beneficial like recovery and what you're trying to do is. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mm.
or like how much you're pushing yourself. Because again,
Yeah.
if you're trying to build strength and you're going building like a bodybuilder, it's like you don't really see strength athletes do that. You know what I mean? They take 5 minutes in between each set, and they're just doing like
Mm.
4 to 5 sets. 3 compounds and maybe a couple of accessories, and then they're out of the gym. They're done like 45 minutes to an
Yeah.
hour and out. Bodybuilder, you could be in there for like two hours and absolutely hammering it. Don't get me wrong, I
Yeah.
loved it sometimes. You get a massive pump, and you're like, bloody hell, this feels
Feels
incredible. Like,
good, but you can
yeah,
hurt for days afterwards.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just listen to your body at the same time.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, I love bodybuilding, really enjoyed it. Love like
Mm.
isolating and perfecting movements, like the biomechanics behind it and everything like that as well. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
I
it's
mean, even
like,
still in my plan, I do the hypertrophy exercises, which is essentially like bodybuilding.
yeah,
Um, it's a fundamental way to grow, isn't it? But
yeah.
um, yeah, having a bit of everything is I really enjoy it.
I totally agree. Right, this podcast. Thank you very
Mm.
much for coming on. I'm going to ask 2
No, thank
questions.
you.
Okay,
Go
2
on.
questions, which is going to be based on like the name of the podcast, which is 1% better. So the first one is going to be, this year or in the past year, what do you think you've done 1% better in terms of your training, nutrition, or lifestyle, whether it is? What have you done 1% better that you think of?
I think for me, it's my legs. Like focusing on that. Um, I think has been my 1% better this year for
That's cool.
sure.
That's cool. So the second question is, what is the next thing you want to become 1% better at?
Oh, I don't know. I think probably either, I don't know, the same thing sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll see how this competition goes this month, but
Yeah.
maybe bettering from that competition.
Okay.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe doing something on my own.
Okay, taking the next step and like going
Yeah,
more solo.
yeah,
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 or just
maybe. I think that'd
progressing
be good.
in terms of like the next competition, like making it better and harder with a group, whether it may be
Yeah,
just doing that 1%
yeah,
better in
going
the
out of the
competition.
comfort zone.
Mate, that's cool. Mate, I love that. Right, I'm going to stop the recording there. It won't obviously end the meeting. We'll speak afterwards as well. But is there anything else
Hmm.
you want to say to potentially anyone that's listening
No,
to all done there?
make sure you listen to the next podcast.
Love it.
Make sure you
Cool.
come down to Dalton's sessions.
Yeah, that is the one.
Yeah,
Mate, cheers, mate. I really appreciate that. Thanks everyone for
no worries.
listening. Obviously, you can follow us on Instagram, which is 1% better _ podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube as well. So feel free to follow us on that. Any questions, feel free to message us. Any topics you want us to talk about, then again, message us. Or if you'd like to come on and speak about anything, give us a message. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening.